everyone, welcome back to Actual English. My name is Jennifer Clyde. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, today's topic is, of course, related to food, as we have been talking about food or food-related topics throughout this week. This is our final food category topic. Let's finish off with food poisoning and indigestion. Not the most pleasant topic, but yes, you can talk about food poisoning, getting sick from eating wrong food or food that's gone bad, or even indigestion. So, have you ever gotten food poisoning? Do you often get indigestion? Well, as for me, yes, well, knock on wood, I've never been sick from eating food that's gone bad or, well, yeah, I guess spoiled food, I guess. So I've never had food poisoning, but I do have experience. I have experienced indigestion. Oh, it's a very, very terrible thing, right? It's very painful, not very easy. Now, when it comes to food poisoning, now, how do most people get food poisoning? Of course, obviously, if you eat food that has either gone bad or spoiled food, in other words, you may get indigestion from eating too fast or even too much. So let's find out everything related to today's topic and also check out some expressions you can use when talking about this topic. Let's get started. Here's Actual Talk.
You know, I have a very appetizing conversation for you.
All right, hit me.
Indigestion and food poisoning.
Wow, what a wonderfully delightful topic.
So let's dive in.
Do I sound enthusiastic enough for you?
Yeah, have you ever gotten food poisoning?
Oh, yes, here in Korea.
Yeah.
I love eating raw fish or hue. I went and ate too much of the wrong thing. And a few hours later, on my way home back to Seoul, wasn't the most pleasant of experiences. Yeah.
When I think of food poisoning, I think of Thailand.
It's shopper's heaven and food lover's heaven.
Yeah, I love the food in Thailand, but a couple of times I've made the mistake of getting a sandwich. And I guess the mayonnaise maybe was a little off.
Because of the heat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spent about 3 days, projectile vomiting and sitting on the toilet and all kinds of, looking pale white at the beach, right? So much fun.
Oh, but if you're feeling sick and nauseated, going out in the sun is not too good for you. You should stay indoors.
I didn't have a choice. We had a boat ride the next day.
Oh, no.
A long 8-hour boat ride.
So what did you do to sort of cure it?
I just
went to the
grin
toilet?
and bear it.
Apparently, you should drink a lot of fluids. In Korea.
Or prick your
Oh, how do you know about that?
I've been in Korea a long time. I haven't seen it done lately, but they used to do that a lot.
Yeah, when I was little, my grandma would be like, "You have a sore tummy? Come here." I'm like, "Okay." Innocent little me. She'd tie my finger with a string and she'd prick it.
It's called distraction. And it works.
Now, they shared some experiences of their own concerning food poisoning and indigestion. So, once again, as always, thanks to Peter and Joanne. Now, Peter talked about a time he had food poisoning. Now, what did he do wrong? He said that he had a type of sandwich and maybe something that was in the sandwich, maybe the mayonnaise he did mention. Because of the heat, because it's so hot in Thailand, maybe the mayonnaise went wrong, and that was what caused food poisoning for him. As for Joanne, she said that it happened in Korea. She had raw fish, known as hue in Korea, and it was either that she ate too much of it or she ate the wrong thing or too much of the wrong thing. Well, don't know the exact reason as to why they got food poisoning, but let's check out what else they mentioned in today's Actual Talk. First of all, Peter begins by saying, I have a very appetizing conversation for you. Appetizing. If you say that something is appetizing, especially food, it means that it is very delicious. So, I have a very appetizing conversation for you. So you may wonder, We're talking about food poisoning and indigestion. It has nothing to do with delicious food, but why did Peter say appetizing? This is just a very fun way of saying it. He's being sarcastic. He's twisting his words around, actually. So anyhow, Joanne says, all right, hit me. Hit me means what? Not really physically hit me, but tell me, ask me, okay? Well, give it a try. Ask me the question. He says indigestion and food poisoning. So, indigestion, we'll take a look at the pronunciation of that word, but most commonly it is pronounced as indigestion. Digestion, it's digestion. In this case, it's indigestion, okay? And food poisoning. This is when you get sick from eating the wrong food, spoiled food, okay? And then Joanne says, oh, what a wonderfully delightful topic. Now, up till this point of the conversation, the two are being sarcastic. They're just trying to make the conversation a bit fun, okay? So, now let's get straight to it. Peter says, so let's dive in. Okay, dive in. We often dive into a swimming pool, but he's saying, let's dive in. Let's get straight to it. Let's start the conversation. Have you ever gotten food poisoning? Joanne says, oh, yes. Here in Korea, I love eating raw fish. Now, if something is raw, it means that it is not cooked. So, I guess raw fish is a wonderful way to express 회, right? It's not cooked fish, it's raw fish. Or 회, I went and ate too much, or too much of the wrong thing. Okay, so by taking a look at what she's saying right now, she does not know the specific or the exact reason as to why she got sick, but she did get sick after having 회. So she says it was either A or B. Maybe I went and maybe I ate too much, or it's because I ate too much of the wrong thing. And a few hours later, on my way back home to Seoul, and then Peter guesses, start weaving. He asks, the do you was omitted, so I added that for you to help you understand. Start weaving, I think, weave itself, W-E-A-V-E. It means to interlace, intertwine, maybe twist something together. So he's saying maybe she had an upset stomach, she wasn't feeling so well. So start weaving, basically, I think he was referring to maybe feeling sick and vomiting, okay? So she says, wasn't the most pleasant of experiences. This is just a more difficult or fancy way of saying, it was a terrible experience. One more time, it wasn't the most pleasant of experiences. That's how you should say it, okay? Remember to add an S there if you're going to use this pattern. Peter says, when I think of food poisoning, when I think of that topic, I think of Thailand, okay? He thinks of Thailand. And then Joanne says it's shopper's heaven and food lover's heaven. Meaning, it's heaven. It's like paradise for shoppers. It's like paradise for food lovers. They're talking about Thailand. So it's, meaning it, referring to Thailand. Thailand is shopper's heaven. Thailand is food lovers' heaven. They have great things to shop for. They have delicious food. Peter says, yeah, I love the food in Thailand, but, okay, he gets to it. A couple of times, I have made the mistake of getting a sandwich. A couple of times, not just once, but it's happened several times. Now, he's saying, I did what I shouldn't have done. I made the mistake of doing something. This is what you can say when you regret doing something, okay? When you learned a lesson from perhaps doing something wrong. Now, and he says, and I guess the mayonnaise maybe was a little off. 마요네즈. Take a look at that pronunciation later. The mayonnaise. It was a little off, he says. Off? Lights can be on. Lights can be turned off as well. But what does he mean by food or a kind of sauce such as mayonnaise being a little off? It means that it wasn't normal, okay? Say this is normal, okay? Being square is normal, but if the corners are bended, for example, and it shouldn't be folded, then you can say, it's kind of off, meaning something is not right about it. So in this case, the mayonnaise was a little off, meaning it tasted kind of strange. Maybe, the mayonnaise kind of went wrong. And he said, and I spent about 3 days, projectile vomiting. Okay. So here, we all know the word vomit. Now, the word projectile vomiting, the word itself means to, drive forward. So he's just saying that he vomited, okay? So he spent about 3 days vomiting over and over and over again. Anyhow, so she says, oh, goodness me. Peter says, and sitting on a toilet and looking pale white at the beach. So much fun. Once again, he's being sarcastic. He means the very opposite, okay, of fun, okay? Oh, yeah. So he's saying that it is not fun. So much fun? No, it was terrible. In other words, sitting on a toilet, he's explaining, okay, giving her the details as to what happened so that she can imagine the situation. So he was sitting on a toilet for many, many hours, for many days, looking pale white. Pale white, looking very white, okay? And then she says, oh, but if you're feeling sick and nauseated, going out in the sun is not too good for you. We all know what sick means. When you say, I feel sick, it means that maybe you have a stomach ache, you have that feeling, that not so good feeling. You want to throw up maybe, you can say, I feel sick. Nauseated is very similar as well. When you say, I feel nauseated, it means that you feel like throwing up, okay? And then she says, you should stay indoors. If you're sick, you shouldn't go outside in the sun. You should stay indoors, inside. Peter says, well, I didn't have a choice, meaning, well, I had to go outside. We had a boat ride the next day, okay? And he gives details, a long 8-hour boat ride. So he had to be on the boat for 8 hours. Now she asks, so what did you do to cure it? Okay, what did you do? He says, just grin and bear it. Okay, this itself is an expression you can use in a situation where you want to say, well, there was nothing I could do. Grin, grin, and bear means to tolerate, to endure it. So he says, well, there was not much I can do. I just had to, well, bear it. Just grin and bear it. And then she says, apparently, you should drink a lot of fluids. And then Peter says, or prick your thumb. Yeah, prick means what? Prick means to perhaps get a needle, something very sharp, and then prick your thumb, actually, that is. I think that's what lots of grandmas used to do. My grandma used to do that to me when I got sick. And then, yes, Joanne says, my grandparents used to do that. When I was little, my grandmother would be like, honey, you have a sore tummy. Sore is what? A hurting, a painful, okay? Come here, she said. And then she'd tie my finger with a string, okay? And she'd prick it. So once again, the prick here means to get a sharp tool, such as a needle or a very sharp, maybe a stick. And then when you poke something really quick, it means to prick it. 손을 따다. So when you want to talk about that, you can use the word prick. That's what her grandma used to do when she was little, when she had a stomachache or a sore tummy, which is another word for stomach. It's just a cute way of saying stomach. All right, well, that brings us to an end to today's actual talk conversation. Have a listen to it one more time.
You know, I have a very appetizing conversation for you.
All right, hit me.
Indigestion and food poisoning.
Wow, what a wonderfully delightful topic.
So let's dive in.
Do I sound enthusiastic enough for you?
Yeah, have you ever gotten food poisoning?
Oh, yes, here in Korea.
Yeah.
I love eating raw fish, 올회. I went and ate too much of the wrong thing. And a few hours later, on my way home back to Seoul, wasn't the most pleasant of experiences. Yeah.
When I think of food poisoning, I think of Thailand.
It's shopper's heaven, and food lovers heaven.
Yeah, I love the food in Thailand, but a couple of times I've made the mistake of getting a sandwich. And I guess the mayonnaise maybe was a little off.
Because of the heat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spent about 3 days, projectile vomiting and sitting on the toilet and all kinds of, looking pale white at the beach, right? So much fun.
Oh, but if you're feeling sick and nauseated, going out in the sun is not too good for you. You should stay indoors.
I didn't have a choice. We had a boat ride the next day.
Oh no!
A long 8-hour boat ride.
So what did you do to sort of cure it?
I just
went to the
grin
toilet?
and bear it.
Apparently, you should drink a lot of fluids. In Korea,
or prick your.
Oh, how do you know about that?
I've been in Korea a long time. I haven't seen it done lately, but they used to do that a lot.
Yeah, when I was little, my grandma would be like, "You have a sore tummy? Come here." I'm like, "Okay." Innocent little me. She'd tie my finger with a string and she'd prick it.
It's called distraction, and it works.
Now it's time for actual expressions. Let's first of all check out some words you can make use of when talking about food poisoning and indigestion, and of course many other topics. But from today's actual talk, we had words such as appetizing. Appetizing. Another word for it is savory. If you say a certain dish is very appetizing or savory, now it means that it looks or tastes very, very tasty. Now the pronunciation is appetizing. The stress goes on the first syllable. One more time. Appetizing. Good job. The next one is indigestion. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are two ways of pronouncing this, but the most common way of pronouncing it is the first one. Indigestion. Indigestion. So focus on that, okay? Indigestion. And here you can also say indigestion. Indigestion. Okay, once again, this pronunciation is a bit more common, or actually much more common. Two more times. Indigestion. Indigestion. The next word, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise. 마요네즈. It's pronounced very differently, right? So the most common ways are these two ways. Actually, the stress goes on different parts of the word. Here, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise. Or mayonnaise. I say mayonnaise. So I put stress on the first syllable. You can choose either of the pronunciations, okay? Let's do them twice each. Mayonnaise. Mayonnaise. Or first syllable, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise. And our final word is nauseated. Remember, they were talking about feeling sick and nauseated. So the pronunciation is nauseated. Nauseated. It's nauseated or nauseated. 그런 발음도 있어요. So some people say nauseated. I say nauseated. So nauseated. And some other words you can use in place of nauseated is sicken or feel queasy, meaning feeling like you are going to throw up. Okay, here are two patterns for you today. The first one is I ate too much or so-and-so. Remember, this was what Joanne said when she was talking about having raw fish or 회. She said, I either ate too much or ate too much of the wrong thing. Let's check out how you can make use of that pattern. Here's a simple sentence. I ate too much or too fast. Okay, imagine you're talking about indigestion. I ate too much or too fast. Of course, by doing so, you're more likely to get indigestion. One more. I ate too much or overly greasy foods. So you're saying I either ate too much or I ate overly greasy foods. Overly is just saying completely too much of something, over the limit. Greasy in Korean would be 기름진, okay? In place of saying oily foods, I do recommend that you say greasy foods if there's too much oil or grease in the dish, okay? One more time. I ate too much or overly greasy foods. Here is another pattern. I made the mistake of doing something, right? So when do you say this? That's right. I told you, usually in cases where you regret having done something. The first sentence is, I made the mistake of not checking the expiration date. This happens frequently, everyone. You can also add on the container or on the back of the box, okay, or on the bottom of the box. Now, you are saying, I didn't check the expiration date. Usually there are dates, best until, sometimes it's written as that, or they will just have dates written or printed on boxes or containers. So if you made a mistake and you got sick because you didn't check the expiration date, you can say, I made the mistake of not checking the expiration date, and then so on. One more, everyone. I made the mistake of not putting the milk back in the fridge. I do this all the time. So what is this sentence implying? It is saying that you did not put the milk back in the fridge, meaning refrigerator, and so the milk went bad. The milk went bad. It means 우유가 상했다, right? Food, you can say, went bad. The milk went bad because you did not put it back in the refrigerator. So that was a mistake that you made and perhaps learned from. Okay, those are our patterns for today, everyone. Practice them on your own, and that's a wrap for this segment.
What's so funny is I'm very adventurous with food. I'll pretty much try anything, and if it's weird, I definitely want to try it. With the exception of maybe like eating cockroaches in Southeast Asia, I think I would probably try anything. And the funny thing is, I went to the Philippines before, and my friend and I, we ate exactly all the same thing, except on the last night, she ordered lobster and I didn't. And that very night, she got food poisoning and I didn't. So it was very funny that somehow I always managed to get away with not getting food poisoning. So I guess I'm kind of lucky in that way. But in terms of indigestion, I do get indigestion a lot because I constantly eat spicy foods and I eat really quickly. And in Korea, there is this danger of going out and you have a really short lunch break. So eating quickly can be a really dangerous thing to do. So don't eat quickly.
One very interesting individual. You know, I am not very adventurous when it comes to trying out different foods or new foods. I like to be safe and I like to know exactly what I'm eating. If it looks strange, if it smells strange, if I don't have any idea what it is, I do not eat it. I do not get near it. Anyhow, she did say that she is very adventurous with food, meaning that she tries all different kinds of foods. She's willing to. She did mention, though, that she will not try cockroaches, I think, in Southeast Asia. Yeah, same here. I'm even afraid of trying scorpions, for God's sake. Anyhow, so let's check out what else she mentioned in today's actual story. Here we go. Yes, as I mentioned, she said, I'm very adventurous with food. So when it comes to food, I am very adventurous. Adventurous meaning what? Yeah, you will try it. You're brave enough. You have the courage to try something new. So in this case, she's saying, well, you know what? I'm brave enough. I have the courage. I am not afraid of trying all different kinds of foods. If it's weird, I want to try it even more, she did mention. Here we go. I always managed, she's talking about the past, to get away with not getting food poisoning. So she's mentioning food poisoning. She was talking about perhaps, times when she tried out new foods and perhaps the time that she would go to places with her friend. Her and her friend would have the same food, but then again, her friend would get sick and she wouldn't. Or somehow they would order something different, and she wouldn't get sick and her friend would. Anyhow, I always managed to. I got away, okay? I got away with not getting food poisoning. Get away with something means to perhaps, not get in trouble, okay? So I always got away with not getting food poisoning is another way you could put that. Let's check out one more. I get indigestion a lot. Why? Because I eat really quickly. Yeah, I remember. Now, get indigestion because why? I eat really fast or quickly. She's mentioned that she loves spicy foods, right? So yeah, spicy foods and eating quickly, it's like the worst combination. You're most likely to get indigestion. So she's saying, I get indigestion a lot. Why? Because I eat really fast. I eat really quickly. I don't chew my food. And here we go. One final sentence. Eating quickly can be a really dangerous thing to do. So she is actually saying this just to warn everyone out there. She's mentioned, I got indigestion or I get indigestion quite often because I eat quickly. So you shouldn't do that. Eating quickly can be a really dangerous thing to do. So everyone, don't do it is her message.
What's so funny is I'm very adventurous with food. I'll pretty much try anything. And if it's weird, I definitely want to try it. With the exception of maybe like eating cockroaches in Southeast Asia, I think I would probably try anything. And the funny thing is, I went to the Philippines before and my friend and I, we ate exactly all the same thing, except on the last night, she ordered lobster and I didn't. And that very night, she got food poisoning and I didn't. So it was very funny that somehow I always managed to get away with not getting food poisoning. So I guess I'm kind of lucky in that way. But in terms of indigestion, I do get indigestion a lot because I constantly eat spicy foods and I eat really quickly. And in Korea, there is this danger of going out and you have a really short lunch break. So eating quickly can be a really dangerous thing to do. So don't eat quickly.
Now, it is completely, entirely, yes, true that people living in busy cities or living busy lives, we don't have much time to eat, especially people working here in Korea. Our lunch breaks are really short. So I guess you tend to get indigestion because of those short breaks. Just don't have enough time to eat. Really just take your time to eat, everyone. Really try to do that for your health. Okay, next time I'll be joining you with another interesting topic. We're going to end our food category segment or category here, and we're going to move on to maybe health or more activities and like health-related things, including the food we eat. Now, the topic for our next lesson is diet. We're not talking about losing weight, exercising to lose weight. Diet meaning the things you eat, everyone. So think about it. Do you have or keep a healthy diet? Do you eat the good foods? Okay? Do you really watch what you eat? Think about that. That's our topic for our next lesson, and I guess I'm going to have to say goodbye. If you do have the time, please come on over and check us out at www.ebse.co.kr. Just look for Actual English and come by to say hello. Okay, that's a wrap. I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.